Around the world, hip-hop has created an incredible mix of music, fashion, dance and art. Northern Ireland is no exception. A country divided by ideology and overshadowed by sectarian violence for more than 30 years. May not be the sort of place you'd expect to find a bold and confident counterculture with roots in the sounds of black urban America.
I remember when we were young, you're out in the back just sitting there playing, you're getting bullets flying over the top of your head and stuff like that there. So we grew up in the Troubles.
There was a bomb a couple of months ago, there's a bomb now a couple of days ago. There's no need for this, man. Bang or the order, bang, bang or the order.
Writing like, kill all Tays, kill all Huns, you mean?
Talking about the Troubles, to me, in music, is very difficult to do without making me cringe.
I grew up filming the skate scene. It's a subculture where it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Hip-hop's the same. So it wasn't long before some skaters started to pick up new skills. In 2005, I began documenting them and others who were developing as some of Northern Ireland's first hip-hop artists. I discovered that from the 1980s, in the midst of the Troubles, this scene had exploded out of people wanting to be different and do something different.
It was just taken from the early American rap, you know what I mean? Like very, very, very early stuff like Grandmaster Flash, Grandmaster Millie Mel, all that. That's the stuff we were listening to. And then obviously went into sort of early gangster rap, and because of the Belfast gangster connection, we all sort of embraced it quite a lot, like, because it sort of spoke to us about things we knew about, you know, things were going on in our neighbourhoods and that, you know.
Each new decade brings a wave of new talent.
Well, we started running our own night probably back in 2003 in Bangor because there wasn't a scene. Like, we couldn't get booked because nowhere was doing underground hip-hop really, so we just made our own night. Just went under the name of Northern Alliance, that was our crew, so basically just booked a room and hired a sound system and did it ourselves.
Please make some noise for DJ Bombin.
Just blows my mind. Just, you know, I feel that passionately about it that I want to recreate it, and you know, I get a buzz from seeing other people, you know, getting into it and, you know, being amazed.
When I was like 16, I used to come up to Belfast every weekend to go to funk clubs, and that's really what got me into the scene. You know, I came from a sort of funk music background, seen guys DJing, and went, I want to be doing that.
This was sort of before people had even seen turntablism happen in the country, like, you know what I mean? Back then it was still people playing house records or whether it be disco records, like very early acid house records, like, you know what I mean? And we came up and we sort of changed it about a bit with the scratch and all this is showing off.
It all began in Belfast, but soon spread to towns around the country, with new acts popping up all over the place.
When it started out for me, we did this night called Atlantic Breaks, you know, and that was the first ever hip-hop night and breaks night we sort of did. It was just in a small bar, but it was packed out all the time. It was in Portrush. People were loving it. People were dancing on the tables and dancing about, and it was just a great atmosphere, a great vibe. You know, it was something new for people, really, around the North Coast.
Many of the people I asked about the early days pointed me to the twins, William and John Madden, founders of the Belfast City Breakers. They've been mentors to generations of b-boys.
I remember when we were young, you're out in the back just sitting there playing, you're getting bullets flying over the top of your head and stuff like that there. So we grew up in the Troubles. But like I said, the best thing ever saved us was dancing.
It was more just the way they welcomed us in and treated us all the time. Their attitudes. I've never met anybody with better attitudes to life and where they've come from and, you know, where they've grown up to have the attitude that they have And the one thing they used to always say to us, respect, have respect for everybody you meet. There's no point in giving like bad energy to people, you know, because the more good energy you give to people, the more good you get back. Anywhere we've ever went, we've always been like welcomed in with open arms because of the way the Twins told us to be.
Many consider the Twins to be the godfathers of the Irish hip-hop scene. They started in 1983, dancing throughout the UK and Europe, representing Belfast during the height of the Troubles. It was one of the worst attacks in the conflict, the IRA bombing of their hometown, Omagh, that first brought the Bad Taste crew together with their idols. They invited the Belfast City Breakers to do a memorial fundraiser.
You had the young kids there, you had young girls, you had mothers and stuff and fathers and stuff all actually came to support that there day.
It really inspired me to want to get into it and do some, especially the moves that the Twins and stuff like that they were doing. It was crazy.
For us just to be there and to take part in it and help them here was a great honour. We used to hook up all the time after that.
We just kept coming. We were just like dogs at the door. Let us teach. So we just wouldn't back down. So after, you know, a couple of years, we kind of started to realise, like, right, well, you know, innocently we were walking around, us being from Omagh as well, we didn't know where we were half the time. We were just blindly walking around, didn't know what was going on. We were in Narrating, we were over at Sandy Row, we were down where, I don't know, where half the places we were, and they were like, don't wear this colour here, and we were like, all right, whatever.
Living in Northern Ireland, many people still try to label you as one side or the other. A Protestant or Catholic, a loyalist or a Republican, whether you see it like that or not. But hip-hop, with its ideologies of free expression and brotherhood, has helped people cross traditional divides.
Back in the 80s, these adults, fools, were killing each other. For what? For nothing. And here's kids from the ghetto, from concrete flipping surroundings with bombs hitting them all over. And we were teaching, we were learning, we were jamming together, we were getting on.
Growing up in Belfast, it's just a brilliant place. Unfortunately, I did have its troubles, but at the same time, I wouldn't change it for anything, because that's where I came from. That's my rawness.
Used to go down to Primark on a Saturday afternoon. Damn, maybe 200 to 300 people. That's the first time I saw the Madden Twins. Two wee small, skinny guys wearing tights. What? With bicycle tops, like really tight, you know? And the big woolly socks pulled up these tights and white trainers on. You're like, who are these idiots? And then they hit the floor.
Loads of crews. You had Nasty Boys, you had ACR, you had beatbox crews from Shankill, and you had just so many different crews running about East Belfast and stuff like that. It was just powerful just to sit and be a part of it all and then watch it all just grow.
It went from gang to crew. It went from knife to guns to your own skill level of what way you're able to move your body. There ain't no religion, no colour of skin, no nothing. You got the music. You hit the dance floor, your reputation's there. It's just you and the reputation. You know what I mean? That's you representing yourself, you're representing your crew. You know, BCB, we got no flag.
It's all about in your own mind here. The fear's in your own mind, and that's basically what it is. Just the colours of green, red and orange, or red, white and blue. And the first thing you always probably stuck in anyone's mind was, am I going to get shot? We're just dancers. We dance from our heart. and just like to pass it on to other people and help other people. And that's what we've been doing for the last 27 years, just breaking down barriers by our dancing.
The images most associated with Northern Ireland are the sectarian wall paintings. But since the 1980s, crews like TIO, TDS and TMN have been adding colour and style to the place, which at least some locals appreciate.
You have the sectarian murals and stuff like that there all over the place, which I think are crap and don't help anyone at all.
I've travelled quite a bit around Europe, and every city you go to, you always see good graffiti. And when you see graffiti, good graffiti, you think, right, there is a subculture here, there is a subculture of skaters, BMXers, graffiti artists.
Within the city, there's definitely much more sort of artwork, like proper graffiti, but obviously the further out you get, the more it turns into what sort of area you're in, and it's in favour of one paramilitary over the other.
I think the stuff now, the sort of hip-hop-y stuff, it all looks far better. It looks good, it's art, instead of just bigotry and hate.
A couple of crews that are prominent in Belfast, and the artwork that they do is phenomenal.
I was surprised to see just how much b-boying broke down barriers here. Is graffiti doing the same?
When I grew up, it was like majority of things was like you seen around Belfast was like political, sectarian, whatever you want to call it. And then when you seen sort of graph, it was totally something different. It stood out from the wall. You were just used to seeing guns and whatever else, petrol bombs and stuff on TV all the time about killings and murdering, both sides of the border, religion basically. And then when you sort of make graffiti, it took you a different direction. You were glad you met it, because you first met it and you weren't writing like kill all Tays, kill all Huns, you know what I mean? It was like you were writing your own name. You met people which were across the divide. You were glad to actually meet them to a certain extent, because you were with them, you were mates. And to a lot of people that would be fucking wrong, because they're from a different part of Belfast itself. But when you first met them, to you that was like the best feeling?
If it wasn't for graffiti, I wouldn't know half the people I know. In this country, it's a bit cross-community. I wouldn't be over, I'm from West Belfast, I wouldn't be over in East Belfast or South Belfast painting or meeting anybody. I wouldn't have a clue. It's broadened me.
We're nearly 20 years into the peace process, but many communities remain segregated. Few things highlight this more than the so-called peace walls. Built to keep communities apart, the first went up over 40 years ago. And despite the peace process, they're still going up.
Just doing a couple of pieces and seeing what happens. So, I'm in Shankill Road in Belfast, which is on one side of the peace wall. We'll be on the loyalist side at the minute, but we're being looked after well. So.
Well, this event here is a meeting of styles. So basically, the guys in Germany run the meeting of styles approached me to do a jam over here, and we knew this wall was about, so we painted it in April as a tester, and we decided just to come up and just try and knock it all out, change this wall. People from all over the world here with us today.
Being here, you know, you see a lot of comparisons to the States, even with the neighborhoods. You know, America is coming out of a lot of issues, you know, racism, different things, neighborhoods being divided. So you see it here, you know, so here it's more of a religion. Sometimes back home, it's more of the color of a skin.
I was in Belfast first time in 2005. And the plan was to stay 1 month, but I stay 6 months. So I think that's the best answer. It's not Bahama, and it's maybe not the safest place to live, you know what I mean? But I reckon it's good. If you like fun, come to Belfast. That's like a TV advert, if you like fun.
Graffiti's been the most visible aspect of hip-hop in the North. It's only recently that local MCs have been getting recognition.
I had a little
running with the boys in the parlour. They were doing a worse job than a blind farmer. Calling for a payment, sure I got much more. Workers kill me out the fucking front door. Peelers don't note when I made a statement.
Today's just praying my calm the situation of a big bit of scrum. I thought it was very much for a big over the base of next up. And he's taking so little sort of me. Why are you here? Fucking me now. Fuck me, mate. Ain't hardly bleed. I'm leaving.
Over here, we've got the Catholics and we've got the Protestants, but personally, I call Catholics Tigs or Fenians, and I call Protestants Snouts or Huns.
Tigs deal too, not just snouts. Some of you Lord Indians got fucked out, so don't you hate? Behind your Guinness, Irish and British, both through sets, freedom theatres, not anymore, just dogs, dice doors, train doors, they'll do you.
They're insults, they're insults, like, but used correctly, I find it's just banter, and it makes it so it isn't as harsh as it used to be. In hip-hop culture in the States, a lot of the African Americans who are involved in hip-hop culture have taken the N-word back that was used to persecute them for years, and now they own that. Subconsciously, that could be a big influence in why I am so adamant about not calling them Catholics, not calling them Protestants. I mean, like, most of them aren't practicing Christians.
We moved to Belfast when I was 6. We moved to Rathcoole, the biggest housing estate in Northern Ireland, and that's true. At that time,
John Sue's the most well-known MC from Northern Ireland, now getting radio play in Britain and America.
About 4 rows down from Bobby Sands. I got a lot of my family involved in my project. You know, I've sampled my father. You know, my dad's a preacher who you know, talks about his story, talks about his transformation from being a terrorist into becoming a man of God and preaching peace.
A week later, I went with these men and they took me to a bar in Belfast and brought me upstairs into a room. There was 3 men sitting behind the table and they had a Ulster flag over the table. And there was something else sitting on the table, and I am sure this will surprise you, because you know what it was? One of these, a Bible.
It's so important to discuss what I'm talking about, because a lot of people, especially today, they're scared to mention the past. They don't want to mention it, you know. They think, oh, you're bringing up old water or whatever. You know, like I'm trying to incite something. You know what I mean? When the truth is, I'm trying to actually expose something. I'm actually trying to say, let's look at what actually happened here.
He said to me, do you believe in the Protestant cause? And I said, I do. He says, are you prepared to die for the Protestant cause? And I says, I am. He says, are you prepared to kill for the Protestant cause? And I says, I am.
Like, talking about the Troubles, to me, in music, is very difficult to do without making me cringe and making me think. I mean, because there's so much shit references you can make about petrol bombs and fucking Saracens, and like, I mean, I just think it can be done very cringeworthily and very almost like with no balls. Like, oh, I have to please everybody. I have to be like, oh, let's have peace and love, and let's just like forget each side.
My dad got out of jail, married my man, made babies. We were growing eating Ulster fries and baked titties, steak and kidney pies and glazed gravy. I was a praised baby, but saying that, I haven't been praised lately. Do you know why? Because I was born in Belfast. Hear the shotgun shell blast.
When I was a child, they sent me to a mental institution. I got expelled from school. They said that I had what they called uncontrollable rage, where I couldn't control any of my rage. It would just outburst and, like, you know, into random attacks of violence in the school. I'd beat up teachers and students and everyone, you know. And anyone that knew me was, you know, very much like a were. Like, I got kicked out of school, started roaming around the streets, robberies, doing everything. You could, you know, just lost it. And then I started writing.
We moved to Manchester in 1996, the same year the IRA blew the Yarndale to bits, and everybody hated it.
You know, my earliest memories was my dad preaching, you know, and trying to bring the two communities together. You know, he used to be a terrorist, used to be involved in the organisations and everything, but then he became a Christian in jail. So my earliest memories, he was trying to bring peace and unity. So I didn't even really understand any of the politics until we moved away from Northern Ireland and we moved to Manchester. And that's when I experienced my first real racism, you know, of sort, where people would you know, mock us, say we're Irish and Irish Bees, IRA and all the rest of it.
Called as Irish Brits, the kids in school cracking Irish jokes, always Irish ratting Irish fists, until that day them boys had never met an Irish fist, but that day they did. They went home and told their mum they're getting bullied up to the Irish kids.
When I lived in a Protestant background, I was brought up British and all the rest of it, but then when you move to England and you realise that the British, the English people, just class you as Irish anyway, irrelevant of what size you're on, you start to rethink who you are, you know what I mean? And that's basically what I talk about as well in my music. It's about, who am I? You know, what am I then? Am I Irish or British? Who am I? Explain to me then. Because I don't even know, and that's why I started studying.
Derry, or Londonderry, and nearby Strabane, have also produced a range of performers, like the Sirocco MCs, Jared I2, and Wildman, who's also breaking into radio.
Stuff like this seems to be happening more often. There was a bomb a couple of months ago, there's a bomb now a couple of days ago. There's no need for this, man. Bang or the order, bang, bang or the order. Excuse a pun.
Writing tunes all day the past 3 days. Had a 8 o'clock bounce and a 1 o'clock rave. Don't need a rocket, they rock a party. Smooth like a criminal, rough but arty. Through town looking like a bike day. Don't make up rules if you don't have to. Checks.
Well, it's done, it's like the real IRA. That's what they call themselves anyway. And we're not really entirely sure what their motivations are. Obviously United Ireland and that kind of stuff, but not the way they do it. It's not helping anybody get on the case.
She's a tablet for the spec, she backing. Head turn every 5 or 6 seconds. Checks be cool, me make a move. What's up with pretending they disapprove? Go on like a thief in the night. Points unforgettable what I might be like. And you, boy, wants to love the fight. Every time I see him now, he'll be flying like shite.
There's a small number of them. There's not many of them. They're not representative of people. So let them put up out and do their wee bombs.
I fall in love by 8 times a day. I rap for the clay, assume I'll get paid. Then I'll give it back to the fate. There's a millionaire on a box begging for sheets. And on the TV, none of them sound like me. Get the streets bumped up with the rest, kid. Get the roughness on when I fight with checks. Making enemies with them cause I don't speak budge. Always get the back in my heads. And me we out dams like math we out red. Like cheers we out Ted. Ladies and gentlemen, smoke.
When I started, it was called Krieger's, just that's like my surname. And then I seen it in a poster and I was like, I don't know, don't like that. Just don't wash. It was like Krieger's with a Z, I think. It was some other dude put on the Z and I was just all, that's terrible. So I was like, give myself a name. And like where I'm from in Derry, everybody's called like wild man for being extremists. If you're always getting in baller and stuff, if you're always up to stuff you shouldn't be doing, you can't get called a wild man like.
Booze, drugs, woman and money. Gotta go to the jump for the Sunday, feel sunny and shine. Never no birds in the boogie. Spite a body of bap and wash it down me a suki. Ass in one hand, a bat and the other. She's gonna win at the nursery, but I ain't the faller.
Always, you call it hooding, that's what we would call it. Just beating about, stealing and drinking and taking drugs, and from we were really young, like primary school.
I'm a 14 man, I used to rob and stay. Leave a ship for 1 minute, I get up with no key, easy. I was an expert thief, for porn, booze, money, clothes, jewelry, and football lazy. I'm a lazy boy, said I'm a crazy. Yes, I'm a crazy boy, said I'm a lazy. Yes, I'm a lazy boy, said I'm a crazy. Yes, I'm a crazy boy.
As a teenager, man, I would always just beat about and rap, during the day, like, in the street and all, and nighttime, stuff like that there in school. But I only took it seriously when I heard myself recorded. I never really thought anything of Irish hip-hop, you see, in general. Always kind of thought, it's an American thing. I don't really think it would be something that you could even really make a mark on because it's just an American thing, like, you know what I mean? So I just thought like that there, and then when I heard myself and I was all, fuck, I'm fucking better than I thought, you know what I mean? So that gave me encouragement, man, and everybody kept saying to me, really good things about it, like, really good things. So I was all right, let's do this, you know what
I mean? For most MCs, it's important to stay true to your own surroundings and perform in your own accent. Like Team Fresh, a rap group from Portrush, originally inspired by the punk ethos.
I was born in Coleraine on the banks of a flashpoint. First thing I heard was my dad with a hash joint, giving it loads with his lyrical missiles, and Uncle Robbie knocked the beat out in his tin whistle. Midwife screaming, can he come in and sing? Away with your love, we named him after a king. Friday the 13th at 6 in the morning, my parents didn't listen to the newsreaders' warnings. Stay at home, your own safety. Sporadic attacks are on the increase lately. Dad from a drunk mum took the wheel. On bridge, 10 kids with Sheffield Steel. 1 street away, in some dark place, a local kid pulled a balaclava over his face. Told by the old wants to fight for his land. Loses both hands, blowing up a chip fan. Fuck that! I'm never going back to the night it was.
Like, we were growing up here in Northern Ireland, like, and you know, everything that happened here in this country, if you know what I mean. And the bands that we had coming from Ireland were pretty boring and depressing. I think there was a handful that were exciting, like, you know, and they were like the punk bands, you know, Stiff Little Fingers and that's what we listened to. But then whenever we heard hip hop for the first time, it was like, it was the same message as what our punk bands were saying, but they were coming from New York, and you know, they were coming from a racial background where they were getting shit for being the wrong colour. And not saying we were getting shit or anything like that, but you know, people were getting shit around us, and you know, things happened to us, and things happened to everyone. And so in a way, at that time when we were younger, the only music that actually had that feeling in it was hip hop.
Second over your shoulder as you walk home at night, cause some inbred fuckers feel the need to fight. It's just primal rage. Hate breeds, hate modern day Cape Brown, since the clear to the States. Tell you one thing though, when all being said, no immigrant has ever put a gun to my head. It was you who filled my childhood with fear. It was you built on roadblocks year after year.
I think a lot of people growing up in Ireland, whether it's like north or south or wherever, like they try to like emanate what they hear from hip hop in America, and that is, you know, it's, I think it's so easy to come up on stage and talk about how you're the man, you're the biggest thing out, you're the macho dude with the fucking, you know, whatever you are.
When he grows up, he's gonna be the big man, big man, big man. What's the crack, big man? Are you think your balls are bigger than the whole of Ireland, big man, big man? What's the crack, big man? Are you think your balls are bigger than the whole of Ireland? He's a big man.
Bitches and hoes and all that nonsense. Like I know people from Northern Ireland that write rhymes about cruising down the boulevard with bitches and hoes, and like, no you don't, there aren't any boulevards here. We don't have any fucking convertibles. You know, it rains all the time. Wise up, you drive a tractor, you know, or you drive a Nova SR and you don't have a girlfriend. Fucking tell the truth.
I've been into hip-hop for 15 years, and the culture has obviously played an important role for many of us. One of the most pleasing aspects for me is seeing how hip-hop has adapted to our surroundings and how all four main elements continue to grow and inspire the young.
Hip-hop lives in you, and tell that to a punk, tell that to a skater, and whoever says, oh, that phase has died out, the phase has died out on front of the camera or in the magazines, but whenever you close them books, what's the people doing in the background? They're still doing that, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of all these subcultures.
I think the scene in Northern Ireland is definitely getting stronger. There seems to be a lot of younger guys now who are really pushing, you know, or really, you know, maybe a lot of guys that are MCing in their bedrooms, DJing in their bedrooms and stuff, but you know they're there, and I think it's only a matter of time before it all breaks out.
I believe people from both sides of the divide will find a common ground with what I'm saying, and they will become united. You know, that's what I plan. That's what my aim is, you know. I want people to find a common ground.
I was sick of all the fucking bollocks, the trouble, and not being able to cross the one part of the city. I've been able to go to different parts of the city where other people from, say, a Protestant area wouldn't be able to go, because I've got friends in that part of the city now. That's the most important thing is, like.
I still hang with them, and I still do the stuff, and we're still a crew that's integrated from both religions, and I don't mean shit. It doesn't mean nothing at all. That's power. That's power that the politics can't get the hang of. That older people who are supposed to have more sense, who are supposed to be teaching you, could not get the hang of, and here's a bunch of kids dancing under one theme, just getting down for the funk of it.
It's clear the scene has helped me understand that we have more in common than we have to keep us apart. What matters is your soul, your energy, and your attitude. Despite negative media portrayals of the culture, I've seen it firsthand how hip-hop has helped unite people here. The question now is, will it embrace the new ethnic groups living in Northern Ireland? Will it continue to be the stabilising influence? It's clearly been throughout my lifetime.